So I think 2026 is the year they run. I think this is the year because there's nothing more he can really do for them, Trump. And he gave them the tax cuts, and the senators and the congressmen are going to run now because the billionaires got their tax cuts and they're going to tell them, okay, cut him loose. And it's because of the files. They're nuclear. They're nuclear. Um, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, like as far as these million new files. If that was like a rogue DOJ and rogue FBI person who just said, "Fuck it, we're going to push this stuff out because Bondi and Battelle won't do it, and we're going to put an end to this," or if it was a delay tactic, but it doesn't really matter. Like all the stuff that is in there um, is enough, and I think they're going to run. They're going to cut bait, and the billionaires are going to be like, "Hey, go ahead." They're going to push for impeachment. Let them push for impeachment. Get behind it to save your own asses. But don't sell us out. Like Trump will be the guy, but don't go after the billionaires. And there will be one or two that will, but don't go after the billionaires. And we'll see. We'll see if they're allowed to do that. Because in my mind, like everybody's got to burn. Every single name. Every single name. Um, but we'll see. And if some of those billionaires aren't in the files, they're going to be like, cut him loose. We've got a 33%, approval rating. He's going to take the entire Republican Party down with him. And this could get to the point where they cut him loose just to bring Vance on board and say, like, hey, we have a brand new party now. And, I know what Vance said in the past, but he never liked Trump, and we never liked Trump. He made us do it. And we're really good people. And if you don't think that they would play that game, they absolutely would. Like they felt threatened, and so we didn't really want to vote that way all those times for all that money and regulation and firing people and attacking people, but he made us. And if you don't think they would do that, they absolutely would. Right? Um, so watch. And it's very possible that they could get rid of him before the election in 2026 to save themselves some seats in senators and be like, oh, the Republican Party is about accountability. Maybe we'll take care of it because they've squeezed all the juice out of that prune. They have squeezed everything they can out of it, and now he's just an anchor. So it'll be real interesting in the beginning of 2026 to see which way they go, and if they continue to push for hearings and be like, "Hey, we want answers," or if he threatens them enough where they back off, and then you just have to take note of who's not pushing for it, and let that be your voting guy. But I think they're ready to cut him loose, and it's really the only way that they can save senator and congressman seats is to cut him loose and say like, we're not that bad. Like it was Trump. He was the bad guy. He was the bad guy. We didn't do it. And they hope you forget all their voting records. So watch out because January and February will be really interesting as they get rolling on that and a number of other things. The economy. I think the Supreme Court comes in and they get rid of the tariffs because the Republican Party, the billionaires, tell them to, so that people think things are getting less expensive. When Trump and the Republican Party were the ones who made them expensive in the first place with the tariffs. I do. I think the Supreme Court's going to cut the tariffs thing. So people think it's easier, and things are getting cheaper when they were expensive in the first place because of the Republican Party and the tariffs. But that's the kind of game that they'll play. And so when people go to the voting box, they'll be like, oh, things are a little bit better. Maybe the Republican Party's okay. Maybe that's all right. And depending on if Vance is in there or not by then, or just to save them some seats. So, but they're going to play all the games. But I think they're ready to cut from him. They can't really get much more from him. He can't run again. No matter what he says, he's not going to run again. I think they're going to cut bait with him and Bannon and throw them to the wolves. Thank God. But any of them who supported him through all of this, they need to go too, and don't forget that. So 2026 will be a hoot, and hopefully it's the year of accountability, right? Like knock on wood. We'll see, because I think they have to do it to save their party. Yeah, I'm not saying they're smart, and they might not be, but I think they have to do it to save their party. So, yeah, we'll see.